Today on the Skid Factory, we cut up a JDM Icon.
Keep going again.
As seems to be the tradition for this show, we are having a lot of adventures at mounting the engine, particularly to do with the sump and the steering, which is pretty much what causes most of the problems usually. We have ditched the cast sump. It was never going to work. It's too hard to find a front sump for us in Australia for one of these, even though we think they do exist. So we've got on to Nelson, and he sent us over a billet piece that goes on the front and a water cut aluminium rail straight from New Zealand. Got here pretty quick, so we've had to drill the rail to suit, mounted up this billet piece that has all the ports in it because the oil passages are actually in the front of the sump on these engines. Now we can move forward and know where the sump can live. It can either be a front sump or a rear sump. I'm leaning towards going towards the rear and just running a pickup tube back, just because there's a bit of complexity involved in getting the oil in and out of the oil filter at the front here. So I'll consult with Matthew on that. He's going to make the sump for us. He's a gun fabricator, where we're just dudes in a shed. We've had the engine in and out multiple times since last time we talked. It's back in now. We have chopped up the steering to connect the rack to the steering column, using just like the D-bar technique, which is like a wedged pin that goes on a flat on a round shaft. So chopped up the steering column, cut it off in the appropriate spot, put a flat in it so that the new joint, it's a Borgeson joint, will fit on it. Then added a joining shaft that goes down to the KE70 rack. So the reason why we had to do that now is because that's one of the major things that we have to make sure will fit and rotate and work and not seize up on the joints and that sort of thing. So we've kind of had to do a bunch of stuff at once, which does delay things. So it's taken us a few days, just ins and outs and this and that, and everything's sort of half done at the moment, but we're pretty happy with where it's sitting. We're going to have enough room for the steering there now. We just have to trim a few bits and pieces off the side of the actual cylinder head. It's got some big mounting tabs or lifting points there. That'll give us enough room for that. I've made one plate on the side of the engine here to meet up to an engine mount. I've had a couple of old Tough Mounts kits lying around for a few years. Basically, it's just sort of an exploded view kit that you weld your own stuff, but it uses their mounting bush. Now Woody's going to throw on some dank music, and we're going to work to the beat and get this thing mounted. Let's go.
Al's no stranger when it comes to making custom engine mounts. Sometimes it's relatively simple, but other times you need to think ahead before getting the welder out. In this case, we've changed the crossmember and modified the steering system. This all needs to be in place before making any mounts. The driver's side mount required some spaces, as the mounting location on the block is recessed roughly 15mm. Al double checks the engine position one final time before tacking the engine mounts. It's worth noting that the engine isn't sitting in the centre of the rails, but actually 10mm towards the passenger side to help with space around the steering column. Hey everybody! Al tacks the engine in place with the MIG. They are then removed and the final welding is finished on the bench with the TIG welder. The polyurethane bushes can sometimes be stubborn, so ensure they are well lubricated before assembling.
Oh, I get what you're trying to do now. You're going to fill that gap, and that's going to be the post to weld to.
Yeah, this is the sleeve because it's already got that sort of post hanging out of it with that used to have that soft mount. That's replacing that so it's not soft, and this is so we got the same size tube all round. Tube.
Yeah. Perfect.
Tube. Not tube, tube.
You got the same as tuning?
Tuning.
Tuning.
The only tubes we have in Australia are chips that taste like a barbecuey version of Cheezels.
What about barrels, bro?
What's that?
Tubes.
That's tubes.
Some leftover tube is being recycled and will be used as the gearbox crossmember. Some box steel is also being used as the folded corners create strength within the flat piece of steel. Majority of the welding is done with the crossmember bolted to the car to prevent it from warping and bending.
Shout out to the Hoff for the power tap. What if I break this?
You buy a new one.
Imperial to 12 bar 175.
Power tap never fails.
She's a bit crooked there.
Is that an industry standard method?
That is industry standard. Get that on a t-shirt, Hoff.
I really-
Power tap.
Power tap 5000. We've got the VK56 and Tremec transmission all mounted up. A little bit of floor clearancing. Everything's fitting right. We've made a transmission mount here. You can see it's made out of bits of leftovers from a patrol rear bar coming down here into a C-section. Let's call it that. That's a Trimatic or Power Glide transmission mount, and this bit here is custom made. The piece they have on them is very much longer than that. It's not very space conscious. You can see it's got this weird shape here. That's so we can run the exhaust through. So you've got to keep that in mind when you're doing transmission mounts, is where will the exhaust go?
That big 8-into-1 collector.
Yeah, that's the one. Up the front, steel plates sweeping forward to get it above the KE70 cross member. These are just tough mounts, universal. They're just parts of a tough mounts kit that we got off Jason. So it's going to be pretty rigid. We've only tacked the brackets, the down brackets onto the cross member because occasionally they all get in the way of you removing the engine, and it's very frustrating. So when we pull the engine out, we'll find out whether it's annoying or not, and we may change them so they unbolt. But obviously a lot easier to just blast some weld over the top of them and fix them that way, but we'll see. We're getting there. This is a good thing. Next up, Matt is going to come around and measure up for a sump. We've got our custom front plate and pan rail. We're gonna go for a rear sump, I think, but we'll wait until Matt gets here. Tomorrow or the next day, panel beater Mark's gonna come around and blow torch off some pristine mud guards so we can fit flares and large wheels.
Mud guards.
Mud guards? Rust guards? No rust.
Is there a quick word from the sponsor, or
Is there?
just
There might be a quick word from the sponsor
just an ad break?
here.
What are you pointing to the corner for?
I don't know. Just covering all bases. Here. Or here. This episode of The Skid Factory is brought to you by The Skid Factory. If you want to support us, head over to www.theskidfactory.com. You can find yourself some tasty merch. Maybe a stubby cooler to hold that lemon squash, or a bucket hat, a Dave shirt, whatever. Anything helps. If you've already bought all our merch and you really love the show, you could also head over to Patreon. We'd appreciate that also. Or just watch. Anything's fine. Remember, drink lemon squash responsibly.
say like and subscribe? And comment?
Comment.
Up the top here,
Yeah.
in the middle.
Yeah,
Just there.
push it in, yeah, that's it.
Yep.
And then put another one in between those two screw holes there.
What's going on here, boys?
Hey mate,
Modifications.
just getting up close to the panel beater mark
Hello,
here.
panel beater Mark. We haven't seen you for quite a while.
Yeah, it has been a while.
How's your mum?
Yeah, she's good. Yeah.
Good to know. Say hi to your mum.
Hi, Mum. And one down the bottom here.
Sweet as.
So, preliminary fit. Preliminary, is that the word for the day?
Yeah.
Of
The first
flares.
That needs to go, or is that?
Oh, it's up hard against the wheel arch now. Yeah.
It's just gap either side. That's all.
Yeah, it's not real good,
I just
mate.
moved
That's
it.
where it goes. Yeah. Yeah. That's it, mate. See, it's hard up against the bottom.
Yeah, yeah.
And it can't go any higher. That's where it's got to go.
It's officially a GTR now, Alan.
One
No,
over here.
GTRs don't have front flares.
Do they? Oh no, they don't, do they?
Yeah, they look silly.
They have silly, skinny little wheels.
Do you know how to tell the difference between a GTR and a GTX Mock-Up, Alan? When they've got... I learnt this from Nori Yarrow.
What?
Shout out to Alexi. The tint on the rear windscreen. The GTRs have a tint and the GTXs
Because you
don't.
couldn't possibly tint the rear windscreen.
Well, the factory tint anyway.
I'd be looking under the bonnet and going,
Oh, look,
hang
it's
on,
an
where's
S20.
the S20 going?
Well, this is in Japan, so. It's funny because Mark just sees this as an old Datsun. It's not like.
Probably you probably don't even know what sort of car it is, do you?
Nope.
It's a green one. Green. Yeah.
And he's colourblind.
Is that why you painted my car the wrong colour? It makes sense now.
You didn't tell me that.
Mark's like a panel beater first car guy. Never.
That's why he's still got his sanity.
Yeah. And I drink.
So, gonna do the front flares and the rear flares. The rear flares is to fit a wider tyre because I don't know how to pronounce the make of those wheels. Wantanabes,
Tanabe.
something like that.
Hakosuka.
They're like 6 inches wide or 7s maybe, not even.
14 inch. Way too small.
And once this thing's got 500 horsepower at the wheels, there's no chance that a 185 tyre is going to cut it. So you have to put a wider tyre on it, and the rear guards aren't going to allow that. So
Hence the GTR having
the wider
flares
flares.
on it.
So Alan's actually already removed the diff and the hubs to make room for. There's an R200 and some custom Porsche Axles, Volkswagen.
Yeah, they're like stubs through the trailing arm that then allow you to use Porsche type CVs.
Yeah, so they're a custom billet thing.
There's the R200 and we're going to fit I don't know, like Cusco, I think, centre to it. Cusco.
So
Cusco.
That's the kind of powertrain wise, and then we have to measure up for some wheels to allow for some bigger tyres, which is they're coming from Barrel Brothers down in Sydney. But to fit the bigger wheels, you need to cut the guards out. So we're kind of jumping ahead a step to then step backwards.
To do that, you need a guy that has no idea how much this car's worth, and that's Mark.
It doesn't care.
All right, Mark, give us an explanation on how you fit these flares, mate.
What I do is get all the flares centralised where they are supposed to be.
Yep.
All 4 of them.
Yep.
Just tape them on, stand back, have a good look, make sure everything's square and symmetry's right.
Yep.
All uniform with each other and stuff. And then bang a few really small holes in with some really small screws.
Yep.
In case you have to move it or jiggle it a little bit because you're going to put nut sets in later.
Yep.
Yeah. And once they're all on, then I put tape around the edge and then drop it down 1/2 inch and then cut it off 1/2 inch down.
Yep.
So that the wheels can go all the way up and miss the bits that you don't want to rub.
Sweet as. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you're doing this because I'm not comfortable doing it, so easy done.
Yeah, all right.
Sweet, I'll put this on a tripod and give you hand drilling holes in.
Yeah, that'd be good. Panel beater Mark has been a mate of ours for about 15 years and has been in the trade for nearly 40. He's no stranger to rust, bog and bent metal, and we're stoked he was able to help out on such short notice. It's a bit daunting for the average car guy to cut into such a nice car, but for Mark, this was a walk in the park. The flare line is marked out with some pinstripe tape, which is used as a reference point. The cut line is then 20mm below this point.
Okay, gonna make some noise now.
Ready to cut?
Yep. Good to go?
Yep. We'll put that on eBay, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, give it back to the owner.
Yeah, he wants it. He just said, he just said keep the pieces.
Did he?
The rear guards were a little more tedious than the front as there were 2 layers to remove. Mark used the grinder to initially cut some slits into the guard, and the air hacksaw was then used along the cut line. The grinder is then used to separate the 2 layers on the flare.
Just doing a rust repair, Mark, that's all.
I've done worse. I've worked on Kai's car.
I'm glad Gab's not here.
I'll send you a picture.
Who's Gav?
Did you? What did he say?
The owner. He said he's freaking out.
You want to
I
send,
said too late now.
want to send a picture of me laughing? I said, bro, are you sure?
Sign here. And
Yeah.
here and here and here.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
initial here.
Yeah, that looks good. I'm stupid. That's all the wrong stuff.
You gotta seal it.
Whee!
I think the owner wants this. Here you go.
Hello?
Gonna need some big wheels.
Is anybody in there?
I think there's a Pokemon in here.
A what?
Pokemon. Fortunately, there's nothing structural about this setup, so we can just bolt these back on and off we go.
Watch the Juco, mate. Bit of a blowjob there, mate.
If you want it done right.
quite the artist, Alan.
Is my R all right?
Perfect. Seamless.
It's officially a GTR now, since we've butchered the rear guards and front.
Is there an eBay listing for them or not?
They're probably worth bank.
It's genuine.
Look at how much has been removed. It's pretty daunting when you look at it and you go, "Are you sure that's the right amount?" But it's just the shape of the rear guards. It's got sort of an odd shape to them, so
He's good, isn't he, Mark?
yeah, I trust him. He's been doing it for 40 years. So it's obviously not finished yet, but we just needed to get those flares on to do measurements from here. Once we get the spindles in, we got some new spindles for it. I'm just waiting on a bearing and then we can bolt that together, jack it up to sort of ride height-ish, and take measurements according to Barrel Brothers requirements. So I reckon it looks pretty good. It just completely changes the styling of the car putting these on.
100%.
So different. It's mint. I'm pretty pleased.
I'm very pleased.
Is that your phone?
That was your phone. Phone's on silent, bruz.
Then people get cranky that I never answer the phone.
I know.
Anyway, we've chopped up enough JDM icons this week, so next week we'll get stuck into putting some stuff back together for a start. Engine box will come out again, finish off the steering, add some brakes and stubs and diffs and all sorts of stuff. We got piles and piles of parts that really would be much neater if they were connected to this car. So that's our sort of priority, I think. Not to mention other cars that are pulled apart.
What are you talking about over here?
And you know how much gear oil smells?
I hate it.
That's all we got for this week. Thanks for watching once again. Like, subscribe and ring the bell if that still exists. Surely they would have changed it by now.
Usually YouTube does, yeah.
Wait, what do they change it to after it's not a bell anymore?
You have to click the bell, you have
Okay.
to select notifications,
One of
and
those
then you'll have
things
to...
that goes at a like a birthday party. Kazoo, is it? A kazoo?
Hey, while you're standing next to the fridge there, mate. Yeah. About that time, eh, chap?
Your shout.
Is it empty?
It's empty.
Oh, damn.
None for you. Thanks for watching. See ya next week.
Do you reckon I can weld that back together?
Do you reckon you're the first person to ever break a Pajero transfer case?
Surely not.
I think you are.
You reckon?
Well, you're the first person to ever break a 4M41 as well, so what's next? Oh, the diff was broken? There's not a lot left.
I'm blaming it on the other kid, not me.
Yeah, true. That's possible.
Yeah. Oh, nasty. I don't know how I drove like 10Ks like that either. Probably, it was more like 5 maybe.
It sounded good. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no.
Give you any topic and you talk about it for hours, I reckon.
Yeah.
We should do a live stream.
Not if you tell me what to say. That doesn't work.
Okay, how's the RoboCop going?
Robocop?
Yeah, it's
I don't even know it's there. How cool is it?
Yeah, it's like...
I think it's drilling into my brain at the moment.
We'll test how the audio sounds.
I can hear some weird noises.
I've got mine mounted on my hip here because that's how much louder I speak.
Drilling into your doodle.
Womp, womp, womp.
Hypno toad. Hypno road.
No camera, no camera.
Hey everybody,